Thank you very much, Asma, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Before you start, I would like to have a small introduction about yourself. Although you are quite popular in the town, but for our global audience, of course, Asma is from Pakistan, and she is a chartered accountant and serving the industry last couple of years. And she has been working in Pakistan and in UAE and has been serving the accountancy profession. And our life story is full of dynamic success stories. And she is a true woman in work, who broke successfully the taboos of the society. She gave resistance to the surroundings, and she made her space in a man-dominant profession like accountancy, taxation, and chartered accountancy. Still, there are very less women in comparison with a lot of men. This is a very great, phenomenal success that she carries on her shoulder. And of course, Asma, you are an inspiration for your community and for the upcoming women, because the circumstances you faced and you break them and you successfully carry on a successful financial independent career. This is really phenomenal. So I would request you today to please share your feeling about the Women International Day and the theme Choose to Challenge.
Thank you very much, Dr. Musa, for giving an opportunity on this auspicious occasion. Congratulations to all the women around who are doing great work, who are inspiring, and all those who will be inspiring in future. The theme is Choose to Challenge, and when you forwarded me the theme, I was actually thinking about what to talk about, because I think it is not just a choice. We cannot say that choose to challenge. If you talk about choose to challenge, then we have to think about the other alternative. So what is the other alternative if we don't choose to challenge? Then we are left to be driven. Then we are left to be considering what others decide about us. Then we are left to just take things as they come and just be part of the process. So I actually took this choose to challenge theme in front of one of my male colleagues, and I tried discussing his thoughts about it. So I said, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say choose to challenge? So he said, choose to challenge means, and he looked at me, and probably he had some idea that I'm working on some International Women's Day theme. He said, it's about choosing something different when you have in front of you a very easy option. You can stay in your comfort zone. You choose to deny that, and you actually choose to go the opposite way, which is full of difficulties, which is full of obstacles, etc. So since he actually in his life, once he opted to go for opting the business rather than going for a job, I asked that, okay, then if you can answer my question about how did you choose to opt to become a businessman over easily available jobs in your career? And the smile came on his face, and I could see there was no answer. So this is basically the difference when we all in general start thinking from a perspective of a woman, and we give the same things thought from the perspective of a society who's primarily male dominant. Now, dominance is not completely negative, I would say, but what happens is that the portion of the society which is under dominance start to lose their own identity. So that's the problem that we face in a male dominant society, that the females start to lose their own identity as a human being. So when we talk about equality, when we talk about diversity, It is about recognizing women as a human being, as equal counterparts, because nature has given same level of attributes to both the sides. It's just that how you employ them, how you make use of it. Now, if people choose to challenge, then what are they challenging? I mean, the question is, what are we trying to challenge? So, we are probably trying to challenge the identity which is set and which is predetermined by the society and the accepted values. Now, if I go back, so what kind of an identity crisis a woman goes through? The identity is coming from her father. Her identity is coming from her husband. Her identity probably is coming from her sons. So, what about herself? Herself as a human being, herself as what qualities nature has given her, and what is she making out of it? Then, if a woman choose not to challenge, what will happen? She will be driven by the decisions which are taken by others, by the society. Let me be specific: by the neighbors, by the relatives, by the family members. So this is about choosing to stop what others are deciding about you and go your own way, carve your own direction, aim for something which inspires you. Now, in today's world, a lot is dependent in terms of decision making on the economic empowerment. So unless a woman is educated properly and appropriately, she will not gain economic empowerment, which enables her to take decisions for her own life. There is an image of women in our society, which is called an acceptable, likable image. Better, we call it a likability bias. So a woman is termed as, it is seen as behaving in a certain way. And if she deviates from that certain way, she is thought to be rebellious, to be claiming independence, to be, I would say, weak in terms of accepting the acceptable norms and then going in her own way, in her own selfish direction. This likability bias actually does a lot of, it creates a lot of issues. When we term likability in certain aspects, we tend to ignore the qualitative side of a human being, and each human being is gifted, each human being is different, each human being is placed differently in the world, and he or she is given abilities which he or she can employ in a different manner. So that likability bias tend to actually ring fence a person in a certain way, which probably is beneficial for certain segment of the society, but not for the class which is facing the dominance. Now, in terms of women, when the barrier and obstacles come, the dilemma is they have to go an extra mile to prove their capability, to prove they are eligible for equality. They are also capable of doing all the things which men are doing. So this is putting an extra effort. So if I would say choosing to decide about her own education, choosing to decide whether she will opt for a profession and claim economic empowerment, become economically self-sufficient, choosing to marry with her own choice, how she would be placed in the in-laws and whether she will continue working after she raises a family. These are the primary obstacles and cultural barriers which women faces in all stages of life, and it continues, and there is a never-ending story. And each time she has to put extra effort to prove that she is able to handle something extra in life on top of responsibilities for her home. This brings, I would say, this is quite demanding in terms of stress management, self-management, workplace harassment management, uh, managing sentiments at home, keeping relations in appropriate sense. This is a continuous and consistent struggle, and this is not easy. And every time it comes up with a different sort of challenge. Now, if we say if we don't choose to challenge, then we will just be driven. But what happens is that there are women who cannot make peace with self, and they keep struggling in continuing to be part of the society as they are deemed. Those women come forward, they break the barriers, they go extra mile, and they also set an example for others that there are better ways of using one person's capabilities, and there are alternatives in which they can still keep values of society as well as be productive and be ambitious and achieve their dreams. I personally would say that in my life, I have chosen to challenge at four major points. Number one was to continue my education. I belong to a family in which we were only girls, and we had only one father to provide. Um, Continuing education primarily was, for me, it was to gain economic empowerment, to be self-sufficient so that I can keep taking my decisions as how I like. The second challenge which I chose to accept was to opt for a profession with which I can continue for the rest of my life. That it wasn't easy because there was no examples in my family earlier, and I had to really convince my family, be quite stubborn about what I want, and also I continue to perform so that they are sure that what I'm what I'm dreaming becomes true. Then later, after I got married, there was another struggle to continue my career, even while raising a family. So that was another set of struggle that I went through. That point, it's also, I think I took a career break of around 8 to 12 months. And within that, I realized that I won't be able to continue wasting what I have learned throughout my life. So that was another point. And I would say the fourth challenge that is quite recent and that I have accepted to choose is that I need to continue inspiring others. Uh, it's not about setting big examples. It's about sharing what I went through and how I tried to come up. See, it's not something really easy. It's not a bed of roses. It comes every day to break one person, but we have to make sure that we have the courage to rise again the next day and start going towards the ambition that we have set. Ambitious women are not seen as they are not likable in the society as such, but and ambition sometimes it carries penalties as well, societal penalties. But life comes only once, and if we cannot make the most of how we have determined our life should be, then I think it's not worth living it. So yes, it is hard to choose, but the only alternative is to then continue accepting what comes from the other end. And how we choose to challenge is, it depends on scenarios. I think it's about the aim. You keep looking at the aim, and then just it's about continuing every day with the same level of energy. Effort is important, but the direction in which the effort is put in is that makes a difference. So choosing carefully and removing toxicity from life, staying with people who are courageous, who are inspiring, that keeps giving you strength. And yes, I would say women are capable, and they possess all the qualities of leadership, of working hard, working genuine, working, doing multitasking. So this is something which is, it's already given in the nature. By saying that, I'm not challenging the other side that they don't have anything. But since it's a so much of attributes given by the nature, it is unfair to not utilize those attributes and just be accept what is given by the society. So I would say continue to make difference, and yes, um, happy International Women's Day, and thank you, Berkeley, for giving an opportunity to be heard.
Thanks for sharing very beautiful thoughts. And with these thoughts, I have a few quick questions, if you allow me to ask, because I generally face these questions and I really wonder why it is. I felt that the parents, when a daughter and parent relationship is non-judgmental, they are not judging you when you are working hard for your exams and you are striving. But when it comes to husband and wife relationship, husbands are maybe an expert or used to uh, judge the wives, like as if like if you miss say a small thing in 24 hours, if you're doing 100 works, if you miss works, so they will not look to the 95% accuracy, they will look to the 5% standard errors. So yeah, I believe I know a lot of women who is in this situation where they feel that their contribution to their family, their dreams, and their hard efforts are not appreciated in a way as it should be. And at every step, they are on a judgmental situation where people, I mean, husband is judging, passing comments, and demotivating, giving them a negative circumstances around them, which cause them feeling lonely, stressed, and not being a happy person. So, such kind of scenarios, with your experience, what you feel can be sorted out. Would you like to give your comments on it?
I would say the problem is not one-sided. It's from both the sides. While one party is focusing on the limitations and deficiencies only, the other side is herself not appreciating her value, her true value. So first of all, charity begins at home. So we need to be aware of who we are and what we are worth of and what is our real value. I will give you just one example. See, it's about serving at home and serving in the outside world. So there are two broad aspects. Now, when it comes to serving outside, we have a lot of measurables available in which we tend to measure one person's effort. When it comes to home, those measurements, they just drain out. It's the same level of commitment, it's the same level of energy, in fact, sometimes more than what is required at workplace, that a woman is putting, hours of efforts and energy and time at home. First of all, she herself needs to realize what she's doing. Once she realizes her true worth, I don't think that will really take a lot to communicate the same to her spouse, that exactly what it is was like. Now, there are very simple methods. The work at home should be shared by both the parties. Now, it shouldn't be itemized as something to be done by women and something to be done by men. So when one party enters into the performance procedure, one person himself does realize what he's going through and what the other person must be going through. Secondly, in one of your earlier events, I did mention about counseling sessions. So that I really believe that at 3 stages of one person's life, counseling sessions should be there and counselors should assist and guide, because eventually everything is not learned, by birth. There are things that you learn in this world. So once matriculation is done, I think that is the best time when the person is male or female entering in the college life. They should be given some kind of a counseling as to what they are, what they want to do ahead in life, what are the options available. Sometimes we call it as career counseling as well. But life, the other aspect, non-career aspects should become part of it as well. Secondly, before marriage, so there should be counseling sessions to make sure that two of the people who are getting married, they know what they are entering into, what exactly they will be facing. And people who are experienced, they can from their experience tell those people to be prepared, what might come in front and how to handle it. Third, after some years of marriage, 5 to 6 years, a counseling session should be done to review where you stand from where you started. So this is something I think that could really help couples to sort out these 95 and 5% issues, which really are nothing, and they become quite big just because there is ego or there is miscommunication. So
That sounds like a music to me. I want to share you some manly version. There are men like I want to share with you. We say that if you give education to anyone, they become flexible, they prosper as they start understanding. But I'm telling you the story of a qualified in ACCA. Whom I was actually, he requested me to get him engaged with someone because he believed that I have some more public, connections. So I was actually sorting out some, like a pre-audit questions that what he likes, what will actually I was negotiating the right of a possible wife on her behalf, that would you allow to, I asked some simple question that what kind of girl is she educated? Yes, it should be educated, this and that. And at the end he said that, but she will not work. I will work. We are men. I'm a man and I will earn. This is not her job. So this is a majority of, I'm talking about a men, very less internationally exposed persons you will see who really want to share the kitchen, the babysittings, and what you talk, living in Dubai, maybe it sounds very normal that people help each other living in UK or US. Aware all our friends, they are into the same loop. But you're talking about a community, 22 million people who actually are very far away, and where if you tell any men that you need a counseling or a session, so it will be like as if you abuse him. That you will find 99% people resisting to any kind of sessions, any kind of sharing the work. So such kind of people, if are marrying to a qualified doctor, engineers who are passionate to study and they were pampered by their parents, how they are going to sort this issue?
See, like I said, women are managers by birth. And that is what I believe, because they manage a lot of things. And it all depends on how one is ambitious about what one wants to do. And then there are ways. So you will not find theories in the books that will tell you predetermined ways as to how to go about it. It's at the end of the day, it is about being human and being understanding. Counseling sessions can work definitely, but it all depends on how the two people are trying to implement it, and sometimes it flares up as well. In a society where things are primarily driven by family and not the person. So two people get married, 99% of the things are driven by the family, by the relatives. So we are living in such society in which we, with our own hands, give our decisions to our family or relatives, even sometimes to neighbors also. I would say, this is a reality. It all starts from self-realization, and self-realization will only come both to men and women through education. So if we want to bring a change, and there are two choices: either we keep sitting and continuing and arranging International Women's Day and keep talking about it and celebrate a few of the women who broke the barriers and did wonderful, or we try to actually push for a change which probably may not happen in few years, but maybe in a few decades, that will reflect in the thoughts of our children. Because eventually, what's the cornerstone if you talk about Pakistani society? It's mother, it's ma, who's actually giving the tarbiyat at home. Father probably is not that much part of the daily life because he's out to earn. I'm talking about the masses. I'm not talking about the metropolitan society. So it's, again, the onus comes to women. So women, once they start thinking about themselves and valuing about themselves, only then they will translate those thoughts to their kids. Once they will translate those thoughts to their kids, then when you give counseling session to the person, it is going to click. If a man is seeing some set state of society right from his childhood, how on earth, and he is in all his comfort zone. So how on earth do you expect him to choose to challenge? Because choose to challenge is about change. And if a person is in the comfort zone and everything is available to him, why would he want to change from the preset behavior? So people only change when there is something when there is a trouble. When life is all so good and everything is available at the doorstep without even asking, how the person is going to think about the change? In fact, he will resist any change. Women try to change because things are not available readily in front of her. And she feels that it's being unfair or unjust or it's not equal. But for man, if you continue, so again, coming to women, this is about women to be self-aware. I don't really blame men for all kinds of, happenings which are there in terms of women issues in the society. I really don't blame them, because the tarbiyat part, the teachings part is coming from the mother, who herself is a woman. So women education is more important. Unless that happens, she is not going to be aware, and unless she is not going to be aware, she is not going to pass the same thoughts to the generation. So education.
Yeah, right. But as I understood that the mother-in-law and the sister-in-law are the biggest enemies come out. Even both are mothers and they have their values. But anyways, that's a discussion. My last question for the day is that Asma Jan Muhammad, after a successful career in Dubai, belongs to Pakistan, dreams that tomorrow if she woke up in Pakistan, she heard a news that the education of a female is free, healthcare is free, and the right to justice will be at the doorstep. How it would sound, and is there a dream like this for the women in Pakistan?
see, one can dream what one wants, but you have to see the reality as well. So yes, a dream needs, for the realization, it needs a will, and the will, when there is a will, then all sort of ways come out. It is not, so first of all, it is about willingness in the society. Does the society at large want to give all these things or not? If yes, then they need to reflect in their behavior, their everyday behavior, not in, standing on a rostrum and, making a speech in front of people. It is not only about that. It is not only about writing. It's not only about speaking. It is about putting that into action. It is about putting equality inside the home between a male child and a female child. It's about taking the same kind of decision that you make for the male child. You should be having the same kind of thoughts without any barrier, without any due thoughts that she will go married and she will be married and she will be away from the home and she will be somebody's responsibility. This is the primary mindset, that when a daughter is there, you assume responsibility, and when she's married, you transfer the responsibility. So this responsibility keeps shifting here and there. No, that needs to change. So this will affect your willingness. So if a willingness to change is there, then it will come, okay, who's going to fund and how we are going to make it happen, etc. Definitely, it's an ideal dream. And if it happens, it is going to rescue a lot of women, especially in rural areas, because they go through identity crisis, they go through health crisis, and in the end, if you see, in older ages, they are left for nothing. So definitely what you have suggested is something which is ideal, but I would say it needs willingness, and willingness needs to be reflected in the behavior of the society.
You're absolutely right that these dreams is the first step to watch, and then there should be an action plan for that. Berkeley is actually working out, and we are building a voice, because we saw that the first step of any change is to talk about this change. And when we talk a lot, it really affects the decision makers and they start thinking about it. We expect that soon in developing countries, we can achieve a global regulation supported by the international women organizations, that the women education should be free and they should get an access to the healthcare. And for that, what projects we are starting with the assisted areas is to start the British or American education through online. So, and giving them the technology or devices at the doorstep. So those kids who are away from the education, they can at least enter into the society. And these are the knowledge hungry kids who will grow up with a real change. And we bring these women in Pakistan, in developing countries where there is women versus man ratio is still in parliaments, in decision making, or in businesses is still minimal. With this, thank you very much for joining us today. And I want to especially thank you to staying late in the office for this show. It's not easy. We understand as your life as a professional and as a married person is really, really challenging. But I always appreciate your support, and I'm looking forward to see you in our next shows.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you.